Can you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins? That's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. I'm super excited to be talking with a friend of mine, Mitch Ribak. He's located in Merritt Island, Florida. Welcome to our podcast today, Mitch.
Well, thanks for having me. I always love doing these things with you guys. It's great. Appreciate it.
Well, everyone, you guys are in for a treat. Mitch is an entrepreneur of all entrepreneurs. He's owned 23 companies in the last 42 years. So I'm excited to hear a little bit about that. He's referred to the godfather of lead conversion throughout North America. That's one of our headlines today. So I'm sure we'll get into that as well. He's built a team from 6 agents to 120 agents, doing over 700 transactions per year for over 160 million of gross sales with his tropical realty of Suntree and tropical realty in Beachside, Florida. He's also been president of the Space Coast Association of Realtors, vice president for Florida Association of Realtors, board of directors. And the list goes on and on. So I can't go through it all, Mitch, because we won't have time to finish the podcast. Right. But pretty excited to hear about your story. Let's just jump in. Kind of tell us a little bit about your background, about some of these companies and what led you to real estate, and kind of go from there.
So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19, and my first business was a modular home business. Which going back now, looking at what I did, it was totally illegal, but I didn't know that time. I was selling real estate without a license, but don't tell anybody. But yeah, I sold 2 of them, made $10,000 at 19, which is 1980, I think, and realized it just bored me. It wasn't exciting to me at all, so I stopped doing that. My next big business was paintball. I was the 3rd paintball business in the country. We ran about 150 people every Saturday and every Sunday. Probably still to date my best gig I had, because I worked 3 days a week, 7 months a year, and grossed over $1 million a year every year. So that was a lot of fun. But then I long story, my partner stole a lot of money from me, split the company up, sold my part, bought a flower business, bought a restaurant, lost the restaurant, lost all my money. Worked for a dating service, started a regular dating service, became the first online dating service back in 1995, 94.
Oh, wow.
And had an advice column, asked Mitch the date doctor on 45 radio stations around the country. I've done a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. But the point is, so when I lost, I had the online dating service under contract for stupid money, which is what was happening back in the internet bubble day, right? And part of the deal is I had to lower my expenses. So moving from Boston, I was doing my radio show at Universal Studios. So I called a friend of mine up, who happens to be my wife now, and said, "What's the office space like in Cocoa Beach?" I was 38 years old and single, looking at girls in bikinis. It was a no-brainer. But then April of 2000, everybody knows this has been around long enough. April 2000, the internet bubble burst. I was 2 months away from closing and retiring at 40 years old, and I lost everything. 6 weeks. It took me 6 weeks to lose $82 million. It was a really bad day. Bad 6 weeks. But anyways, so my friend got me into real estate. He's like, "Mitch, get your real estate license. You'll be great at it." I'm like, "I don't like realtors. Why would I do that?" And he's like, "You'd be really good at it. You have the personality for a realtor." I'm like, I didn't know how to take that. But anyways, I got in, and it was the easiest thing I've ever did. I actually only did it. I was going to work part-time, and part-time to me is 40, 50 hours a week. So I was going to work part-time while I figured out what my next company was going to be. But meanwhile, I sold 36 homes my first year, 50 my second year, 80 my third year, 80 my fourth year, and started my brokerage late my 4th year. Wow. And then moved that from 6 to 120 agents. And then we merged with EXP in June of 2017. And now I run an organization about 2,150 agents. So life-changing, fun. Best gig as an entrepreneur, I think, versus besides my paintball business, but it's good stuff. So that's a quickie. That's a quickie of my background.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So congratulations with all that. Except the bad 6 weeks, but I'm sure you learned a ton, and you bounced back for sure. So what is what was the biggest reason of you had your own independent company before EXP?
Yeah. We built a brokerage called Tropical Realty, and we had a couple of Tropical Realty Beachside, Tropical Realty of Suntree. We had two different companies, but same company. And so when I turned 56, which is in 2016, I just kind of looked around my life. I was like, all right, my dad died at 58, my mother died at 59. Wow. If I die today, what happens to my family? And it was a huge thing for me because I mean, my family's our lives, right? That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And the reality is, if I die with my brokerage, my entire agents leave. My wife wasn't licensed at the time. Even licensed now, they're not going to stay with her. They might stay because they feel bad for a couple of months, but ultimately they're not going to stay. Right. So I looked at opportunities, and I went to sell the company. I got offered $3.5 million from two different companies. I negotiated with one, and they came down to the final payment, which is a really funny part about real estate, is that you get a little money. At this point, I had 65 agents, by the way. Well, actually, I had 120. I got rid of 50 after the deal fell apart. But they give you a little money the first year, a little money the second year. The third year is the final payment, which in this case was 70% of the money, based on the retention of the original 120. I can't say exactly what I said because it's not appropriate, but I'll say kind of what I said. I said, so let me get this straight. If you guys suck at what you do and half my agents leave, my 3.5 goes to 1.75. They said, yeah. I go, well, that's the stupidest effing thing I've ever heard in my life. And I walked out of the room. I literally got up and walked out of the room. I said, I'm done. And I walked away. I've been studying the EXP model for 2 years at that point. I love the model. But, hard part being a broker is ego. Like, I'm the guy, as you said, president of the board, vice president of the state, all these things that I've done, and board of directors, and big broker, and drive fancy cars. Nobody knew I didn't make any money, by the way. Everybody thought I was rich, but most people know who own a brokerage. You don't make any money when you own a brokerage. But anyways, we moved over. I met with Jason Gessing first for the fourth time, and he told me, I said, the hardest part is leaving my brand. Tropical Realty is a big brand here. We're really well known. He said, just be Tropical Realty Beachside, brokered by EXP. And I said to him, I go, why didn't you tell me that the first time we met 2 years ago? Because I probably would have joined 2 years earlier. That was my holdback, was my name, because that's my ego, is my name, right?
Right.
So we lost. I had fired 50 agents before that. We were switching over 65. We lost 25 in the switchover. Mainly because nobody had ever heard of EXP. There was only 50 agents in the state of Florida at that time. Right. And of course, now there's 10,000. There was 0 here. There was 5 in Orlando. So, nobody who knew what it was. All the brokers in town immediately attacked our brokerage as soon as they found out we were making this move. It's a scam. It's screwing you, the words. But anyways, we lost 25. 19 of the 25 never sold a house.
Oh, really? Okay.
Of the other 6, 3 of them have come back now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they were scared. I mean, I get it. I'm an entrepreneur. They're not entrepreneurs. They're realtors. I'm an entrepreneur. So taking a risk is what I do. That's part of my life. Right. So I got it. But it was tough at the beginning. A lot of people, didn't understand it. A lot of people, I remember the local Remax, one of the Remax brokerages here had a meeting with their agents, what to do if Mitch calls you.
That's great.
Yeah. And I don't call people to attract. I build relationships, and I've yet to cold call one person to join EXP. And I personally brought on 110, and I've literally not cold called one person. And we can talk about different ways of doing that, wherever you want to go on this phone call. Right. But it's all about contribution and helping people, right? And that's why I've gotten to where I am today. And that's, by the way, my entire life has been. My slogan for years was, I don't sell you, I help you. Right. In multiple companies. And that's how I run my business. I help as many people as I can help. We were kind of talking about that before the call. Right. And that's my life. I have 35 hours a week now. I don't do 80 hours anymore. 35 hours a week to help as many people that want to help. And I don't care who you are. I help anybody.
Yeah, that's It's just your personality, right? You're a pretty likable guy. Always, I know, always joking, having fun. I mean, life's too short, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the only way to be. So let's talk about that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of independent brokers out there like yourself that, it is a lot about their ego. You said if you're a broker, you're not making a whole lot of money. I think I read in one of your bio somewhere that you had earned certain 1 point whatever million, but you only actually took home or netted like 90 grand or something.
Yeah. So my typical year with a brokerage was I would net, my best year I made 200 grand. My average year was 75.
Wow.
Yeah. And if I didn't have my coaching business and my other stuff, I still sold up until a couple of years ago, 25, 30 homes a year to make an extra $150,000 a year. So, I always tell broker, I talk to brokers every week for people, obviously, right? And here's the common denominator. Almost all of them are not making money. Almost all. There's a couple that I've met that are doing okay. They've been very lean, 5, 6, 10 agent brokerages. But the reality is most don't. I'll give you a quick example. I'm talking to a broker right now, and she has 15 agents. I said, well, how are you doing? She goes, we're killing it. My team's doing unbelievable. I go, well, let me look at your numbers, and I'll be told, and I'm always very honest. I go, if you're killing it like you are, then you just keep doing what you're doing. You don't need EXP. So anyway, I took her. When you do that, you take their numbers out, right? Right. Their numbers don't count. Her team lost $7,500 last year.
Wow.
She thought her team was killing it. So a lot of small brokerages don't even know their numbers to even have this conversation. But here's what I know. Usually when you have a brokerage, if you do sell full-time, which a lot of brokers sell full-time, right? Sure. Not because they want to, because they had to. Their ego will not let them say, all right, this didn't work. I can't tell you. Kept me doing it. This didn't work. I can't tell anybody that because I told everybody I'm going to be the best broker in the world. And now I'm stuck with this thing. So when I talk to brokers, the opportunity to scale or even get rid of the liability and use all the EXP tools is enough to make that switch. And then you have the entrepreneurial type of people like you and I, where I looked at EXP as an opportunity to expand outside of my county.
Right.
Most of us live in our little county of Brevard County, Florida is where I work, right? And we have 3 offices here. But that was, if I wanted to expand, it was almost impossible. Now, because of the leverage that EXP gives you for the entrepreneurial person, not just a broker, but entrepreneurial person, is you can go anywhere in 24 countries now.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty awesome. We're in 49 states and 7 countries with my organization. I mean, it's way beyond my dreams when I did this. I remember saying, if I could, like, in 6 years hit 1,000 people, that'd be like phenomenal. But in 6 years, I hit 2,000 people almost. Right.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is huge leverage. Bradley says no cold calls, just be you. Great advice. Yeah, thanks, Bradley, and thanks for joining us on our podcast today. Tim, Robert, Mary, Lily, Indeep. If you guys have any questions for Mitch, definitely put them in the comment sections, and definitely put it out there to your friends and family. If you have any independent broker owners that you might want to forward this to them. And I'm sure Mitch would be happy to have a conversation with them. What was the biggest thing for you? You said it was your ego. You didn't want to admit that you weren't doing as well as you hoped that you would do. Of course, a lot of it's about the market, but how did you get past that, Mitch?
Just really hard look in the mirror. I mean, really, I'm a mirror guy. I use the mirror for my accountability every day, and all my biggest decisions in my life are based on my conversations with myself in the mirror. And because you can be honest, when you're looking in the mirror, you cannot lie to yourself. When you're looking in your own eyes, you're full of crap when you're lying. You lie and then you start laughing because you're lying. And I said, why did I stop my brokerage? I started it for leverage and freedom. Why we started brokerage? I started for leverage and freedom. But what did I get? I got babysitting in prison. And that was the fact that every single broker right now. If you're a broker, they're listening to this, we know the pain. I know your pain. The pain, like there's nothing better as a broker than when you've taken someone who's a brand new agent and you turn them into a $15, $20 million producer and they go, Actually, they say this, hey, can we meet at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning before this day gets going? And they come in the office and like, you're the best mentor I ever had, but I'm going to go over there now. And then you lose as a broker, you're losing, that could be $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. You're losing in income and you get angry and you get mad. And I used to get really mad. Now I just realize people do what they have to do because that's what they think is best for their family, which is totally 100% what you should be doing. But that was the thing. That was my big aha moment when I started this for leverage and freedom. I did not accomplish that goal. Now my persona and my image is huge success. Like I said, I drive nice BMWs, I wear nice suits, I have beautiful offices. All that stuff that I had was all the, how do I say this? All the bullshit that we try to portray to people, right? That we're super successful so they can join us because we know it's about agent count as a broker, even as a team. And as a team or a broker, and I had a broker I talked to today, well, I don't recruit. You got 50 agents. You recruit. Well, they call me. I go, but you have to still close the deal. You're still recruiting. So it all depends on the broker I talk to. Most of them, though, when I sit in and I talk to them about my story and I talk to them about the leverage and freedom in prison and that I currently have, they all laugh at that, but they all know it's true. The fact that they're not making money, my last two brokers that brought in, one lost many hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2022 and one broke even. And these are big brokerages, 100 plus agents, right? And they're not making any money. I met with a brokerage up in Hoboken, New Jersey, 350 agents. They made $104,000 last year.
Wow.
So what are you doing?
All that liability?
Well, it's not even liability. It's you every year that you delay doing something, you're just delaying your financial life because you get stuck in that pattern. I know it. I get my ex-business partner still has a brokerage. She didn't want to do EXP when we made the switch. So we split apart at that point. And she told me she works 6 months of the year full-time selling real estate to pay the bills to the office.
Wow.
And yet her ego, and I love her to death, she's a good friend of mine, her ego is so ingrained because she's been there for 35 years and she's really well known as Tropical Realty. She's the original Tropical Realty where I started. And yet she, and I love her. So, and I don't blame her. It's just what she knows, right? So I think when I talk to brokers, the first thing I said, look, we have egos, right? So let's take your ego and just put it over. It's funny. It goes backwards on the thing. Go put it aside for a few minutes and let's talk reality. I know your pain and go through the conversation. I think that's why most people use me to talk to brokers who are with EXP is because I was a small independent or a medium-sized independent and there's nothing they can lie to me about because I know the truth.
Right. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is getting people to even take a look. I mean, what do you say to somebody that you said you haven't, you're not cold calling, they kind of just reach out to you. How do you, number one, get them to reach out to you? And, sure. And number two, when they do, well, let's start there.
Okay. So firstly, I don't, people don't always reach out to me. It doesn't mean I don't talk to people. I don't sit at my little desk waiting for shit to happen. But what I do is I create relationships. I don't cold call. So how do I create relationships? First of all, I know a lot of people. Right. I know a lot of brokers. So I just pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, how's it going? How's business going? And, and I generally never talk about EXP on any type of first phone calls with anybody. With agents, it's just say, how's your business going? I like to go to open houses. I just did one this past weekend and met a great agent who I'm now in a relationship with, right? Right. So eventually you run out of your list. Here's what I tell everybody to do. Your first step, just like selling homes, if you're selling homes, you have to build a foundation. What is a foundation? By the way, nobody does this, but what is a foundation? Foundation is who is my customer and where is my customer? Right. That's your foundation for any business. I got 23 companies. That was the number one thing I did every single business when I started my business. Who's my customer? Where's my customer? In the attraction model, your customer is agents, right? So in the homes, I'm going to make a list of everybody I know to sell homes, of every person I know, and keep in touch with them. Because why do people use you to buy or sell homes? Because you happen to be in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. Right. Everybody knows 10 or 20 of us. We're like little cockroaches. We're everywhere. And same thing with attraction. So you all know a lot of realtors, right? So make a list of everybody you know. And then just like you would on a sphere of influence for houses, sphere of influence for attraction. Make a list of everybody you know, and then rank them by relationship. Because that's the one that everybody tells you to make a list, but nobody tells you to rank them by relationship. The reason why you do that, and I did this by accident when I first started. Jeff and Renee Font, good friends of mine, Dennis D'Souza, Pete Middleton, good friends of mine. I just call my friends. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I don't even know what this thing's about. But it's kind of cool. There's an exit strategy because there is no exit strategy in real estate, right? You die. That's your exit strategy. Or you go get a job. So, anyways, yeah. So that's my thought on that.
So then, after building a relationship, what's the next step? Especially if it's someone like yourself that maybe they're doing okay. They're doing okay, not great, but okay, and they're not open to really even taking a look. How do you get them to actually take a look to see what's available?
You don't. So I'm a huge believer in concentrating 1,000,000,000% on what I get, not what I don't get.
Okay.
Right. So I could chase a guy. Now I'm still going to plant seeds. Like I have a 50 agent brokerage right now that I'm working with. Right. At first and we know each other, not well, but we know each other. So I reached out to him one day. I said, "How's it going?" It's an area that I'm trying to break into. And we just talked about business for a little bit. And I said, "Have you been open to, the EXP?" And he's like, "No, not interested at all." I get that. And then, about a month later, I say, "Hey, still love to just do lunch, just talk about business." And he's like, "I'd be open to lunch." And so then this is over the last 4 months or so, by the way. And anyway, so finally, I sent him Friday of last week. I sent him a text. "Hey, what's going on? I still want to meet for lunch sometime just to hang out." He's like, "Yeah, what's your schedule the week after next?" So we're getting together next week. But that took me 4 months to even get that appointment. Now, during that appointment, I'm not going to talk about EXP.
Right.
I'm just going to talk about business and get that little pain stuff coming a little more forward in his thought process. Because when you're in pain like that, you bury that pain. You're not thinking about it every day. Some people are, I'm sure. But, you're busy running your business and trying to keep it afloat and pay your bills and all that stuff. Right now is an amazing time to talk to brokers because they are truly terrified of two things: the lawsuits, right? Because they're coming after them, the lawsuits, and they're not making as many sales as they were 6 months ago. And they're on a shoestring anyways, and the overhead doesn't go away. So that's the one thing, they have the office, they have the staff, they have all this stuff. It doesn't go away.
Right.
So when the market shifts, and when the market shifted originally back in 06, 07, 08, right. I remember 07, I think I lost $40,000 or $50,000. So I was negative numbers. Luckily I had enough capital that I could stay alive, but a lot of people don't. So this is a great time to talk to brokers right now.
Yeah, 100% agree. Especially with, like you said, with the lawsuits going on, that's getting people obviously a little bit nervous, especially if they got a pretty big company. They have that much more liability and exposure, right?
Yep, and they're going to be going. Keep in mind, this is going to be. They're going after the deep pockets right now, and they're going to go after here's what they're going to do. Mark my words. Within the next 24 to 36 months, they're going to go after the small brokerage with 10 agents, 12 agents, 5 agents, 20 agents. And so we're going to sue you or pay us $10,000 and we'll leave you out of the suit. And they're going to do that all day long, and every single broker is going to give them $10,000 because they don't want to deal with it.
Right.
And they're already losing money as it is. So, and that $10,000 might be $50,000. I'm just making up numbers, but
yeah.
But it'll be. But this is the time of year also everybody starts really looking at their life. I do it. I'm in the middle of doing my business plan right now for next year.
Right.
And they look at their life and they look at their numbers. Some of the brokers, not all. Some of the realtors, not all. I talked to realtors. I met a realtor recently. That we're in discussions right now, and he paid his broker. He did not know this, by the way. He paid his broker $215,000 each year the last 3 years. $650,000 in the last 3 years, and he had no idea. He goes, "I didn't know I spent that much money." I go, "How do you not know that?" but people are thinking about doing it. But there's a couple things that I'll warn you about in the mistakes I made. One, never ever talk about attraction when you're trying to attract an agent. Right? Talk about production. They just want to sell homes. Right. The people that are entrepreneurial that want to build an organization or a small organization, whatever it be, are going to rise to the top anyways. Right. But if you start, and I made this mistake at the beginning, I was always like, oh yeah, and if you attract agents, you can make an extra $100,000 a year, rah, 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 whatever. Nobody joined, right? Everybody's like, oh, I didn't get a real estate license to become a recruiter. I came here to sell houses.
Right.
So one of the things I learned, I'm a word guy, and there's certain words that are really important. I figured out I never use the word recruit. I use the word introduce. And I never use the word rev share. I use referral fees. So my standard line to everybody I talk to is when I talk about attraction part, I said, look, when I had my brokerage, if you brought somebody into my company, if you introduce somebody to the company, I give you $500 on the transaction. EXP takes it a little step further. For every person you introduce to the company, you could earn up to $2,800 a year. So say you introduce 2 people a year over the next 3 years, and those 6 people I'll introduce just one. That's up to $36,000 a year in referral fees. That's it. That's my conversation. That's my entire attraction conversation.
Right.
Unless during my discovery, I find out they're an entrepreneur. Then we're going to talk a little more detail about that. But you're at 90% of the realtors. It's about how can I show you how to sell more homes by joining the EXP platform? That's the other thing. EXP is not a brokerage to me. EXP is a platform.
Right.
And I love that terminology. I got that from, I think Tina mentioned that to me once. I love that. Because is where you currently are the best platform to maximize your business over the next 5 to 10 years. And if it's not, we need to have a conversation. And some people won't talk to you at all. 90% won't talk to you, right? Rob Flick has the best line ever. Don't be attached to the outcome.
Right.
People are going to say no. If you're cold calling FSBOs, 90% are going to hang up on you. Right? If you're cold calling expired, it's the same thing, right? You only care about, and don't care about the 90%. Care about the 10% that say, I'm open.
Right.
Because those are the people that are open to taking a look, that are open to changing your lives. And I know that's what keeps me going is the stories of all the people on an ongoing basis. Pretty much weekly, somebody's texting me, one of my team members, thanking me again. They just got the Icon Agent Award, and they're going to get their $16,000 back in company stock, or they just capped. They're going to get the stock awards, or they are building a team, whatever it might be. It's changing their lives financially, and those are pretty rewarding, right?
Yeah, I've told people for years. I've coached and trained at hundreds of brokerages all over North America with my lead conversion stuff back in the day, and not one agent from any brokerage has ever said, Remax has changed my life, or Caldwell Bank. Not once, ever. And we're talking thousands and thousands of agents I've talked to. And yet I have seen hundreds and hundreds of agents say to me, EXP's changed their life. And for most agents, it's stock, right? I mean, the stock is, it's real stock, not like some of these companies trying to copy us. But it's, you think about it, like one of my agents, Icon, and a couple of years later, cashes Icon stock in for $240,000.
Wow.
Crazy, right? Another one of mine who just did the 5% thing, not even a capper, just did the 5% thing. In over 5 years, accumulated $80,000 in stock.
And he's just doing the same exact thing that they were doing before, selling houses and helping the company grow.
That's it. So I know lots of people that I personally made over $1 million in the stock. That's changed my life dramatically. But those are stories I love, and that's what I try to get through to people. People, look at me still as a broker because I was so well known here as a broker. Is they don't understand, like, the most I'm going to make is $2,800. So one of my favorite lines is, Andre, the most I'm going to make on you is $2,800. It's not going to affect my life one bit, but I can guarantee you we can completely change your life. And I believe that because I've seen it over and over and over and over again.
Right. That's awesome. So as far as for our podcast, we put Godfather of Lead Conversion.
Yes.
Let's change gears a little bit and let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So back in 2001, so I started my business September 10, 2001. Next day was 9/11. So good time to start. And but I still did. I want to say I did about 6 transactions between then and the end of the year. And then I had 9 closings that January. In that January, it might have been December, I started my first website. Now, my background was internet, right? Everybody told me not to do internet. So I went on as many real estate websites as I could find. There was something really in common with every single one of them. Nobody asked you for your information. Like nobody was generating leads. So I'm like, well, that's stupid. It was hard just to find a website that allowed you to do that, to make people register.
Yeah.
So iHouse was the one, iHouse.com, I think they're still around, allowed you to do that. It was the only one. So then I was getting all these calls from realtors who were finding my website saying, why are you making people register on your website? I go, why would I spend money on a website and not make people register? And they're like, well, aren't they getting mad at you? I go, well, 15% are registered. They're like, what about the other 85%? I'm like, what about them? I go, 15% is a lot. I go, and so, we're doing about $1,000. We're doing it was a buck a click back then. I was doing 1,000 clicks a month, $1,000 a month. I was getting 150 leads a month from it. Right? Why would you not do that?
Right.
So anyways, and nobody caught on. So anyways, as I was getting leads, I'm like, all right, what do I do? Again, I'm a business guy. Excuse me. What do I do with these leads? Well, I know the only reason why people went to my website was to look at listings, right? So I go, and they just started in the MLS. It was like literally just launched a couple months earlier, the ability to do listing updates to the MLS.
Right.
So I started doing that. And then all of a sudden people were calling me. Keep in mind, I did not pick up the phone once with all these leads I was generating. And so my next year I sold 50, 24 from open houses, almost the rest were from internet. And the next year 80, 40 or 50 from the internet. And, we ended up our last year of internet leads I did with my brokerage. We did 329 or 349 sales from internet leads. So 50% of our sales came from the internet. Now, so let's talk about that. So I knew everybody needed to get listing updates. So if you're generating leads and you're not setting them up where they're getting listing updates, you're missing the boat. I said it earlier in this podcast. I said, why do people use you as a realtor? Only reason why they use you is because you happen to be in front of them when they're thinking about buying and selling. This fact, the NAR stat is 88% of the consumers say they would use their realtor again. Only 11% do. Right? So listing updates means you're in front of them all the time. But here's the thing with listing updates. Most people want to be precise in what they send. So if someone's looking for a house up to $400,000, they'll do a $400,000 house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, very narrow criteria, which in turn, unfortunately, gives you very narrow results, which means you're not in front of them very often, especially right now in a limited inventory. So we'd always do broad searches. So if they're looking for a $400,000 house, I would send them anything between $300,000 and $500,000. Right. And I explained to them, this is why I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah. When they got closer to buying, I would narrow it down. But that was just so I was in front of them more. And then we had a great callback schedule. We had a great drip campaign. So it all goes in together to convert leads. Eventually, very shortly after this, so I started that in my brokerage in 2005. And by 2006, I had started my first inside sales department. Okay. Because I knew one flaw with my agents that I had about a dozen agents at the time, maybe 20. None of them were calling their leads. So I was the first person who did inside sales agents for lead conversion. I want to say it's late 2005, early 2006 we started that. Me and Julie Inman. Julie Inman is now the director for ISA for EXP, which I got out of that job. And I started the ISA department for EXP. And then I told them I wouldn't continue unless Julie was hired because I'm not doing day-to-day stuff. It's not what I do. But anyway, so we just kept refining it, and we ended up getting on our lead flow. We get a 6% conversion rate on raw registration leads, which is really high. The average is about 0.75%. People that are really good get a 2 to 3%. We're getting 6%. Zillow and Realtor.com leads that we called for other people because we didn't do them. We got a 10 to 15% conversion rate on those. And part of it is understanding the hierarchy of leads also, where you're putting your money and time. And I'll give you a quickie on that. Facebook leads are the least conversion. Generally, the national average is 1 out of 300 become a sale. So they're cheap, right? $1 or $2 a lead. But think about the time that goes into converting 300 leads to get one. Pay-per-click, which is Google AdWords, the average is 1%. That's 1 out of 100. The difference, obviously, people on Facebook are scrolling down and they see a pretty picture and they click on it. Now you have a lead that means nothing. At least on pay-per-click on AdWords, Google, they're going in there searching for Melbourne real estate, Merritt Island real estate. Right. And then the next is Zillow, Realtor.com. Those are property inquiry leads. Property inquiry lead is going to get national averages 3%, right? Is a better rate. And then you have FFF open houses, which I don't have a rate on that, and then personal referrals. But understanding the hierarchy of leads, you may get really cheap leads, but cheap leads don't mean anything. They might mean more work for you.
Yeah.
So you have to really look at your lead flow and what your lead flow looks like and where they're coming from, and then your cost per sale. So we got our cost per sale on leads down to $240 a sale, which is really, really inexpensive. Tough to do these. I mean, just one Zillow leads cost you $250 these days, right?
Right.
The internet space has changed a lot, but we use these same follow-ups with all of our leads. I don't care where they come from. All of our open house leads go through the same system. Everything goes through the same system now.
That's good advice and very interesting. A lot of people probably don't know those statistics and those numbers. They're just, spending money and trying to get, shake the trees and get whatever they can get. But I guess that's why they, call you the godfather of lead gen.
Yeah. Well, I spent millions of dollars figuring it out, right? I mean, I didn't get it the first day. But it took me, the forced registration, and by the way, nobody up until 2004 duplicated me on that. Like there was nobody in the country doing that. I remember being on a forum, and there's these people. I'm friends with all these people right now. They're all trying to figure it out. And at that point, I was rocking with my internet leads, and so I followed this blog for a month or forum for a month, and it was really funny to watch because these are guys that they're all the egos are big, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but I still can't convert these damn leads. And so I went in there and I posted step-by-step process to convert leads in the forum, and nobody had heard me because I literally just stalked it for like a month.
Right.
Like this wouldn't work. You make people register on your website and apply. And I went on. But so, anyways, all those people are actually one of them just came over now. Justin Haver over in. He was one of those. Gary Ashton out of Nashville, #1 Remax. He was one of those. The whole bunch of people. They're all of them now are all hugely successful. Everybody from our original group. Dan Bear was one of those guys. In San Diego.
Right.
So lots of people. I changed their lives doing that because they went. And then they all realized they all hired ISAs later on and followed my ISA program. Then people fly in. I had at least one broker or team leader flying into Melbourne to my office in Melbourne every week for years to meet with me and see my ISA department, how it worked.
Oh, wow.
So the point is, if you're not going to make the phone calls, either don't do internet marketing or hire an ISA. ISAs preferably, and ISA is an inside sales agent, preferably if you're going to do an ISA. I'm not a big outsource guy to the Philippines. I like having licensed ISAs that can have real estate conversations. It makes a difference because all you're doing when you're having and I'm not saying that Philippines guy is doing a better job than you, most likely.
Right.
But you're going to get more results from a local person. The other thing is you can base your pay to an ISA based on sales. So you can give them a piece of the commission if they're licensed. You can't do that if they're,
right.
So that's this is a quick one-on-one. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is my name, I have several lead conversion classes on there. You can go in there and get a full hour class on there and et cetera. Reach out to me if you have questions.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome. Now you mentioned Justin. He was what is his background? Because I saw he just joined EXP. He was like #1 in what?
British Columbia? #1 in Remax in Canada, #3 in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, one of the things to think about, and it's a really good point, everybody's gettable.
Yeah.
Like I've known Justin for 15 years, and I didn't even think to reach out to him because I didn't think he'd do it. Dan Bear, same thing. When Dan joined, he's like, "You're at EXP. Why didn't you call me?"
Yeah.
Like, think about those calls. I didn't make 2 phone calls to Carlos Germain, 2,000 agents. Dan, 8,000 agents. I could have added 10,000 more agents if I just made those 2 phone calls earlier. I didn't make them. So, don't think that people won't do this because every day some unbelievable people are joining EXP. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are people that, a lot of it's relationships, right? If they know, like, and trust you, your friends from could be a year ago, 10, 20 years ago.
Doesn't matter.
It's just about relationships.
And keep in mind how life-changing it can be. And, I won't tell you how much he's making, but Howard Fritz, you probably know Howard, but Howard is my sponsor, right? And nobody knows Howard. Right? Howard he's got 5 directs. And I don't even qualify anymore because I don't sell anymore. He's got 5 qualifiers. But he's got 1,800 and something people because of me.
Right.
Think about how life-changing that is. And I can tell you that 2,000 agents with 0 directs is still about $10,000 a month. Think about that.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. Look at Sheila. Look at Sheila bringing on Brent. Look at is Elizabeth Riley bringing on Gene. Life-changing for those people and their families for generations to come. So if you don't want to do this for yourself, do it for your family.
Right.
Here's the beauty. Remember I mentioned earlier when we first talked about, me talking to my mirror about the brokerage and what am I going to do? And, here's the beauty of this. Remember, if I died then, my family got nothing. If I die today, my wife is licensed. She just goes in my spot.
Right.
Right. But here's what's more important. My son, who's a lawyer, is getting licensed right now. My granddaughter turns 18 in March. She's getting licensed. Right. My daughter's getting licensed. We have generational wealth long after I die because of the effort I put in. The only difference between me and anybody else out there is I do the work. You don't know enough realtors, then go to open houses, meet realtors, right? You're not strong enough to do it. Invite them to a thing like we do in our group. Which anybody can come to, is called Top Producer Panel. It's me, Pete Middleton, Matt Battiati, some of the biggest guys. Janet Cardell, some of the biggest people in EXP are in my group. And we do an education on how to sell more homes. Invite people. The last 3 people that I had brought to that joined the next day. Yeah. So bring them to events that you guys are doing already, and show them what it's like to be part of EXP before they're part of EXP.
Yeah, exactly. What's the name of that group, and when do you do it?
It's let me pull it up the calendar. Is there a chat thing here? I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can put it in the comments.
Oh, right there. Okay. Yeah, I'll just put the link in there. Anybody's welcome to come. We don't care who you are, what group you're in. Way past that stage of our lives right now. Control C. Let me get back to you. Where'd you go? Hold on a second. So this link, is our Top Producer Panel Zoom link. It's on Thursdays. I'll write it in here for you. Thursdays, noon Eastern every week. So anybody's welcome to come to that, but take advantage of those type of things and invite people. Same thing with bringing people to an event. I brought a person to EXPCon. He joined the week later. If you go to Cabo, bring someone to Cabo. There are always, but you need to leverage the people you know. The biggest mistake I was making when I first started doing this, because I never did recruiting when I had my brokerage. People called me. I grew Tropical Realty the same way I'm growing EXP. People just introduce people to me. The 3-way call is the most important part. That's how you leverage your organization. And people, you don't have to always use people in your organization to help you. Almost all of us, I'm not saying all of us, but almost all of us will do a call. Like if you have a broker call, you want me to get them, go find me in workplace and get my calendar invite, and I'll do a broker call. I don't care. I have 35 hours a week to work right now, and I don't really care who's on my calendar. I don't even honestly know who's on my calendar until the night before when I look at my calendar for the next day. So anybody can come on, and most people, I talked to Jay Kinder about that recently. He's like, how many calls do you do a week that are actually in your group? Because I don't know. He goes, some are, some aren't. He goes, I don't care anymore. And that's what you'll find with most of the people who've been successful, right? We don't care who you call for. We'll help you. We don't care.
Yeah, I think you said it earlier, but the Zig Ziglar quote: "If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want." Right?
Yep, pretty simple, right? The universe is an amazing place. Tell you how powerful the universe is. In October 21, Pat Bertrand is my general manager. Has been for 18 years. Also one of my best friends. We were doing a deal, and we were still selling 25, 30 homes a year at that point. I said, I just don't like this anymore. I quit. She goes, what do you mean you quit? I go, I'm not selling any more homes. And at that point, by the way, I would be getting 40 to 60 calls every single year from consumers to buy or sell homes every year. Forever. Right. I mean, never, ever look. So she goes, well, if you quit, I quit. I go, great. We both quit. We're not selling any more homes. Do you know that I've literally sold, last year I sold 6. And this year I think I sold 2. Nobody calls me anymore. So I put that out into the universe that I don't want to sell homes. And what do I got? Nobody's calling me anymore. So then a couple of weeks ago, I said, I should probably sell a few more homes just to keep my feet in a little bit, right? And, I listed 2 properties and sold a property in 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, universe. It's great. Love the universe.
I really appreciate your time today, Mitch. I know you gave a lot of golden nuggets. There's a couple other questions there, and I'll let you go.
Sure.
Being EXP was so new when you first got plugged in, you said no one even heard about them. There was hardly anybody in your marketplace. What were you surprised about that might have been better than what you thought being a cloud-based company? Were there any surprises when you joined?
Collaboration. I mean, that was the biggest support. Well, support was pretty bad when we joined, but support now is pretty excellent. Honestly, the proximity to ridiculously awesome people. I was planning and running my little business here, reach out to my friends, try to expand a little bit, around the country, try to get some leverage. I was still running my lead system at the time when we switched over because I planned on keeping that going forever and sold that 2 years ago. But the collaboration and access to people like you, people like me, people like-minded people. The problem when you're a broker or even most agents, you don't have access to that. Right. Brokers are on an island by themselves. Team leaders are jumping on an island by themselves. No brokers sharing with other brokers how to build their business locally. You might get that from other places, but not locally. So the ability to reach out to anybody that like if I want to reach out to anybody in our company and anybody can to help you, you can. One of my agents goes, Mitch, I want to know a little bit about luxury. I go, well, just send Pete Middleton a text on Workplace and get on a call with him. I go, just tell him you're one of my agents and he'll get on a call. He got a call for 30 minutes and recorded a whole luxury thing for the kid when he was on the call. I mean, Pete makes no money off that. He's not even under Pete's group. He's in one of my other groups. Right. So that to me was the biggest surprise. And now the support, think about it. We have 2,000 employees. The average brokerage has 2. Right. You need help. You go on the world. I went to accounting a few weeks ago to get something answered. I was in there 30 seconds later. I pulled my ticket 30 seconds later. I was in front of somebody and I walked out of there in 2 minutes with my answer. Right. You can't get that support in any brokerage anywhere else. But really the collaboration. I mean, if I had to say the number one in the friendships, I mean, I have so many friends. I thought I was done getting friends. I was. I really mean, I was 56 at the time. You have your group of friends. I have so many really close friends now that are better than most of my friends I had before that, because we're all in the same mindset. We're like, who can we help and how can we help them? And let's just help the masses and we'll get what we get. Right.
The more you give, the more you get. And I know you're a big giver. We've met each other several times, at events, had a couple minute conversation, but this is the longest conversation that we've ever had. And I just texted you there last week and said, hey, would you jump on my podcast? And you're like, yeah, sure. Right. Sure. And have an hour of your time. And that happens every day. I mean, it's ongoing. So we do an attraction class on Tuesdays, and same thing. We get a guest every week. We're actually going to stop doing them next year and do something else. We're not sure exactly what yet. We have almost 2 years of content, so we're just going to keep rerunning those. It's the same because now at this point it's the same story each time. So we're going to try to do something different. But yeah, it's same thing. We reach out to people all the time, and then sure, here's my dates. I'm available. Let me know. Yeah, we all help each other. Yeah, I 100% agree. It's one of the best parts of the company for sure. Well, hey, thanks again, Mitch. Anyone out there that has any questions, we got his phone number out there. Feel free to reach out to Mitch or myself anytime. Absolutely happy to answer just any questions and help you in any way that we possibly can. If you're interested in EXP or not, hey, we're all, especially in the crazy industry that we're in the crazy markets that we've been over the years, we all got to stick together, and we're more happy to give back. That's for sure. My last question, Mitch, if you're a book reader, what's the favorite book that you like to recommend, or a movie watcher? What's the best movie you'd like to recommend to my listeners? Sure. I'll give you 2 things. I want to say one thing real quick first. If you're a newer agent out there, the reason why agents fail, 86% of them, is they don't plug in. Plug in, right? Plug into the systems and all that stuff. It'll help. Favorite book from
I've got a few, so I'm going to give you a couple different ones.
Okay.
So from a business book, one of my favorite is E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
Myth Revisited. Okay.
E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. My favorite non-business book, but life book, besides Tony Robbins stuff, because I love Tony Robbins, is Die with Zero.
Okay.
I read that in August of 21, and it completely changed my life. I went from 60 to 80 hours a week down to 35 hours a week that day. I hired someone to replace myself. It's all about freedom. It's all about money and how you spend money and understanding your buckets of time in your life. Phenomenal. Everybody who's read that book has called me back and said, "Thank you so much. It changed my life." Everybody.
Well, that's awesome. I'm writing it down. Die with Zero.
Yeah, I forget who's but type it in. I think it's Bill somebody, but I don't remember the author's name. And then for the book, for the movie, I like there's a movie called The Secret, and so it's not a bit. It's spiritual, but I'm a universe guy, like I said. My favorite lines is by Henry Ford is whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah. And
this movie is all about mindset. And there's a long story behind how I got that movie, which we don't have time to get into today. I'll tell you some other day. But I've made everybody I know watch that movie. Everybody, same thing. Wow. Didn't understand the power of my mind. The real quick story behind that, and I won't talk about it, is in 1978, I caught on fire and got third-degree burns on 20% of my body.
Oh, wow.
My arms, my hand. This hand was down on my bone. I mean, my chest and stomach were third-degree burns. They said 4 to 6 months in the hospital with multiple surgeries. I couldn't do that. I had a big, important gig. I was in a rock band. We had our first concert we were putting on, sold out, 3,000 people, and I was not missing that. I cured myself of burns and got out of the hospital in 2.5 weeks.
Really?
Physically impossible to do. Not possible. I've talked to multiple doctors and said physically impossible. And I cured myself of burns. So when I watched The Secret, you're like, well, if I cured myself of burns, I pretty much can do anything, right? So it's all here. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. If you don't believe you can do it, like if you sit there and go, I'm going to sell 50 homes this year, and you don't believe that, you know how many you're going to sell? Not 50. Right. So anyways, that's my favorite.
Wow, definitely watch that movie, and we'll have more conversations about that next time we get together. But thanks again, Mitch, for your time today. I really appreciate you. Everyone, we'll see you next week at the Financial Freedom Forever podcast. Awesome. And have a blessed day, Mitch. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care, buddy. Be good, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Listen to what our business partners are saying about our FFF group.
I love FFF, Financial Freedom Forever, is helping you to grow, all support and coaching and training me and my family. Now we have more time to spend together and make more money.
Competition is good, but collaboration is better. You know, the one thing that I really love about this group and this community is that an abundance mindset, always looking to add value. It's really clear that this organization is pouring in as we have the best agents, not only in the US, but all over the globe.
I believe if you surround yourself with like-minded people that are doing 10, 15, 20 times more than me and you put together, we all bring each other up and bring our businesses to the next level and our lives. To learn more about how to partner with us, go to partnerwithandre.com or click the link below. And let's have a conversation.